One of the advantages in Boozang is that as it supports both UI and API test, we've implemented a functionality where you can auto-generate API tests from actions in the UI. So let me demonstrate that. What I'll start by doing is in a module, I'll choose API test and create a new API test. API actions you can also add into regular test, but we recommend you using the API test because it makes things a little bit simpler. So I'm just going to call this form fill in API. And I need to pick my API host. In this case, the API is hosted on api.boozang.com. Very cool. So, of course, now we can start creating, manually filling out the query, the body, the headers, and create the API test very similar to a tool like Postman. Or we can actually just go ahead and delete this one and use this little API capture right here. So what you want to start by doing is you want to delete everything in this dialog so it's empty, because it's always registering APIs. But if you really want to generate an API test, it's important that you hit this record button, okay? Now let me test here. So again, we're using form fill in the lab, and while we're filling the form, we don't expect anything, because in this case it's not talking to the API. It waits to do the post until you click save to DB, where the data is submitted to the backend, right, to the API, and then you're going to see the post being generated here in the dialog. So now we could go ahead and save this, but what I'm going to do, as you can see here, you can also see the data that it used here on the hover, which is very good for troubleshooting and for making sure that the right information was captured. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and click this button, which executes the get and also the delete. Now you see all the API requests, the post, get, and delete, and I'm going to save all of these into my API test, generate API action, okay? And I'm hitting save. Now, in order to understand if this is working or not, of course, I want to make sure that we have no users. We have no users here on the database. And I'm going to go ahead and execute this post request. As we see, it has now automatically made the post to the backend API. So we already have an action that we can use to create the user. But we also have the get request, which we can double click here. And in order to see the result here, of course, we can go in the try tab, in the result tab, we can go and see the outgoing request. And also we can see I'm going to move this over a little bit. We can also see the response here. So this is something you can play around with a lot, but it's very, very good to especially get started very fast to create an API test. Of course, what you probably want to do is go into, for instance here for the post, you will have the data in the body. So you probably want to parameterize this, but I'm going to go into that more, how you would kind of edit these API requests and make sure you can kind of make them more versatile and data driven in another video. But this is a quick overview on how you can use the API recorder to capture API tests simply in the browser.